Welcome to this Resource Point overview. My name is Matt and I am so excited to have this opportunity to show you a little bit about Resource Point. This tool will allow you to serve your community better in two ways. First, it will allow you to connect individuals and families with community resources. Additionally, this tool will also give you the ability to collaborate with other community organizations. So let's take a look. As you can see, I already have Resource Point up on my computer. You can access this site by Googling Resource Point or just simply typing in resourcepoint.org in your browser. This will bring you to the welcome page. From here, you can easily find a list of nonprofits, government agencies, and faith organizations who offer community resources. So if you have an individual in need that maybe is standing in front of you and you'd like to find some resources for them, we'll show you how to do that. So if you go to the I Need Help button, we'll show you how to search. This is a simple search we can do. I'm going to search for food. I'm going to stress the importance of putting in a location. So if I'm looking for food, I want to make sure that we're not searching maybe 200 miles for food, but within a couple miles of the individual. In this case, I'm going to search Seminole County to see what results this gives me. I click search, and as this is happening, you'll see that it returns a Google-like search result that might look familiar to you. So we have 51 results of organizations that provide food in Seminole County. A couple things I want to draw your attention to before we click on Harvest Time International. You see the address here, you see the phone number, you also see this list of services that they offer. This is a good reminder that a lot of times when an individual needs a service, it's probably not just one service. They might need multiple services, and there's organizations out there that provide not just one but many different services, and this shows you an example of that. If I click on Harvest Time International, that just takes you to their information page. Just 1 second as it pulls up. So this information page again shows you the address, the phone number, the website, and an overview of their information, plus some details, contacts, etc. The important part of this piece of Resource Point to understand is this is community facing. This takes no special training. It is for anyone in the community. There's no login. So in a minute, we're going to go into the database and show you the benefits of that. But if an individual is simply looking for resources, this is where they can go. At this point, you would call them or give the individual that phone number to refer them. But there's one other way that we can use Resource Point that is really powerful, and that is up top here into the advocacy. We're going to sign into advocacy, and this is where there's a little more training involved, but this is where the database is really powerful. So I click on advocacy, and that advocacy link is anywhere on the top right of any page on the website. As I log in, I'll point out a few things to you, and we'll just spend a few minutes giving you an overview of this system. So look on the left-hand side of this menu down here. We have home, we have client, and several others. So today we're just going to be concerned with these two, home and client. Home simply takes us back to this page that you're looking at. Client is useful in that it allows you to search and access clients' records. So like I said, there's a couple other buttons, but we won't worry about those today. So as I click on this button, you'll see it allows me to search for a client. So we will put in Mary Client. When I'm ready, I'll click search. So if a client is already in the system, they'll show up down here. So this is where the power of the network comes in. If an individual in need or if a family in need comes in, you can first search their name to see if they're in the system. If they're in the system, it means that either your organization or somebody else has already had a contact with them. So when I click on their name, it'll give me an overview of this individual. So if you're anything like me, if we just want to take a quick second to look at all of these tabs. If you're anything like me, you might be a little overwhelmed just by looking at this. That's okay. If you want to take a quick breather, maybe watch a video of puppies, by all means feel free to pause the video. But if you're ready, we'll jump right in and we'll show you how easy it can be and how informational these tabs are. So it's really best to look at these two as binders. Client information and service transactions, think of those as binders. So we'll start with client information. We're only going to go through the first about half today. So let's start with summary. Summary is a great place to go if you want to get a quick snapshot of that client, any information that your organization or others have put in. So this information gets automatically populated when we input data in these other tabs. So when we go to the client profile, this contains demographic information about the client. It's this tab gives you a very quick and very basic picture of who the client is. Moving on to households, this is where you can see who the client calls family. And this differs depending on the client. It could be their biological family or who they live with. Moving on to ROI for my business-minded friends. In this case, this does not mean return on investment. This means release of information. So that's just a fancy way of saying the client agreed to let us put their information into Resource Point. This last tab we'll go over in this client information binder is entry exit. This tells you what organizations the client is currently working with or has worked with in the past. So anytime there's a connection and an interaction with this client, the organization would put in an entry, and when the interaction is complete, maybe the client has worked through the program. If once they are no longer in the program or no longer being serviced by that organization, the exit date would be input. So this is a great way to see what other organizations might have worked with this client. And then the rest of these tabs are more advocate, case manager specific. So we won't get into those today, but just know that there's a place for goals, for case plans. This is where we put any sort of assessments and measurements to help the client over time walk through it in a more case management advocate setting. So as we move to the next binder, service transactions, you'll see that there are several tabs. We'll only go through a few today. I'd like to highlight starting with adding a need. So when you click on this button, it allows you to record when someone asks for assistance. So if an individual comes in looking for assistance, they would ask for a need. This is where you would record that need. So if I click on this, I'll just quickly show you something important. This drop-down shows you a list of the most common needs requested. Now this drop-down can be tailored, but what we found is these are the most applicable. If there's a case where a need doesn't fit this, we can always do a lookup, which is a little more advanced, but we won't do that today. But just know that there's really a need and a code for anything that a client might come in for asking for. So since we won't put in this information, I'll just hit cancel to back out of it. Once you click on need, you will add the service, which simply says that it shows you how, or it tells the system and everybody else how you responded to their need. If you give them a car, didn't give them a car, or referred them to another organization for a car, that gets written down here. This is where the system becomes powerful because you're able to refer this client to a service if you don't provide it. So you're able to look into the system at the other faith houses, churches, synagogues, mosques, other organizations that offer that service, and you can send that referral through the system, and it would be electronic. There's also there will be a document and a tracking of that information. So this is where the database really is different than simply using the resource point as a community tool and a community facing tool. Once you log in, you're a part of that network and you're able to use that referral in those services that are a part of that those other partner organizations in a more complete manner. So when you click on View Entire Service History, this is what I'm talking about. It shows you a snapshot. So this client has been specifically used for our purposes, so you'll see a lot of Northland Life Hope here, but as other providers, if other providers are servicing and helping this client, then they would show up on this list. So this is where one of the first places I would jump to if I was working with a client to see if he had been asking for a similar need that he's currently asking us for, and we could tailor our conversation based on that disclosure and that information that wouldn't have been previously available. So that's it. That is a quick overview to show you the power of the system. So if anybody is going to be using the system in depth, there will be a full training after this. Don't worry, we don't expect you to be ready to use this system after this quick, say, 10-minute video, but we wanted to show you the value and the power in this database. So there you go. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back, maybe even play Eye of the Tiger and fist pump while you're at it, because you braved this resource point overview. So if you have any questions, please let us know. You can email us at crn@northlandchurch.net. Until next time, thank you so much. Bye.